The Eagles beat the Dolphins 31-17 as the Dolphins continue to show they cannot hang with the stiffer, superior competition in the NFL. And at this point, I don't know if the Dolphins can hang with the best of them. There's a stat here with Tua that might be a little nitpicky, but I think it's worth notifying because of how he is inferior against superior competition. And clearly, when he is not upright, when he's not protected in the pocket, he's a different quarterback. Tua is 16-4. He's played 20 games in his career where he sacked one time or less. He's 16-4 in those football games. Tua is now 10-11. In the 21 games, he's been sacked two or more times in his career. And Tua is now a quarterback that we can safely say he shrinks against bigger competition. If his offensive line is not damn near perfect, again, 16-4 when he sacked one time or less, I think, not even I think, Tua's output and production drastically falls. It makes him not as good of a player, which therefore is going to affect the Dolphins. And I want to see Tua play great against better competition. I want to see Tua be able to take that leap as a player and throw against great defenses in games where, outside of the Chargers, like you can win that type of shootout, hang with Buffalo that is putting up 48 on your bad defense. Tua had a season low 6.8 yards per attempt in this game, and it showed clearly with the way that he played. But it's clear that the Dolphins are missing Devon Achane, especially in this game, but they still had more talent, you could say, to outmatch Philadelphia in this game. Raheem Mostert was kind of limited on the ground before he had a 21-yard run that gave him 45 yards total, but he did have that nice run in the third quarter. And of course, Raheem tried to get himself going in this game as much as he could, but it wasn't really happening, especially in the first half. Tyreek Hill did have 88 yards on 11 catches and a touchdown, but as far as the Dolphins are concerned, it was only that 27-yard bomb that Tua threw to come back and tie the football game up that really mattered. Jalen Waddle actually played through back pain in this game, 63 yards on 5 catches. Cedric Wilson had two really big catches from Tua. Both of the throws that Tua had to Ced Wilson in this game were huge, 48 major yards. But overall, you see Miami making these plays. They walked into the league averaging 505.7 yards per game. So let's say 506. Miami put up 244 yards on the night. Eagles come in, put another 100 on top of those yards to finish out the night at 355. But you have to just realize that until Tua takes this leap as a quarterback, Miami's going to be here. Miami can have all the big Tua games with Tyreek Hill and throwing up against these inferior defenses and Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert and 5 to 7 touchdowns a game. That can all happen. That's fine. But as soon as you match up against a team that can shoot out with you, like the Eagles, like the Bills, who obviously we're all out on after the Bills had beat the Dolphins earlier on, the Miami Dolphins are going to stay in this spot. And Miami was pretty undisciplined in this game. 10 flags for 70 yards, winning the turnover battle with a strip sack and a pick six, but losing by 2 scores. And your offense only scored one touchdown is very unacceptable and extremely uncharacteristic for Miami. But here's where I'll start to give them a little bit of slack. They don't have Teron Armstead. They don't have the starter in Wynn. They don't have the starter in Williams at left tackle, left guard, and center, respectively. So the whole left side of the O line was hurt. The Dolphins secondary, again, was exposed. No Xavier Howard, no Jalen Ramsey, and that showed big time. And again, I'll give them some slack here because we know what type of guys they are. But even with the recent play of X Howard and Jalen Ramsey, it doesn't make you think that Miami is going to lock things down cornerback wise and not be able to give up 48, not be able to give up 31 to an Eagles team. But there were bad breaks for Miami in this game as well. You got Tyreek Hill dropping a touchdown pass that would have tied the game at 17. You got a face mask, which should have been called. I don't remember exactly which pass it was, but you guys know exactly which call I'm talking about. The face mask that should have been called. Everyone thinks the Eagles have been saved now. Or the new Patriots or the new Chiefs. And then there was the roughing the passer the call on Jalen Hurts, which was just absolutely wild. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're pushing the quarterback to the ground, not even up high. You're pushing him on his shoulder pad to save him. So you telling me that basically flag football now is not allowed if I get to the quarterback late? That's what the ref showed us in that call. Again, both corners are hurt, no left side of the O-line. Like there were breaks in this game that if they possibly would have went Miami's way, of course they could have won, at least with Tyreek dropping the touchdown, the face mask, and the roughing the passer. Those three are probably what Dolphins fans are looking at today. And I know if I was a fan of Miami, I'd be looking at those exact moments as well. But despite everything I just laid out there for Miami, they cannot and they have not beat superior competition thus far. And Tua is going to continue to shrink in those big games until he can step up to the plate and actually grow as a player when Miami needs him to. Lowest point scored all season. The second lowest was, shocker, in the blowout loss to the Buffalo Bills. So it's clear Miami has to get some defensive players possibly at this trade deadline coming up on Halloween. Miami has to get better defensively because they've shown they can hang with the best of them offensively. But if you possibly get stymied, get stifled by an Eagles type of defense, by a Bills type of defense, again, we feel differently about Buffalo a few weeks removed from this Dolphins win. But Miami's got some work to do. And again, I love Tua. I love Mike McDaniel. I like what the Dolphins are doing, feeling like they've turned around so quick. I'd love to see those guys in a Super Bowl or in an AFC championship. But it's growing pains, and it's what you got to get through in the NFL because after the teardown, after the rebuild, um, retooling, whatever you call it, you then have to be put in those experiences, in those situations, so you know how to get through them as a player, as a coach, with your new team by your side. Jalen Hurts beats Tua, thankfully, in their NFL rematch. Did anyone really think the Eagles were going to lose this game being at home in the Kelly Greens? And it was a rematch of Tua and Jalen Hurts. Everyone talking about how Tua took Jalen Hurts' job at Alabama, yada, 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 yada. But if you didn't know, now you do that Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback than Tua. And that's not a slight because I like both of the guys. I rooted for both of them in college. I rooted for both of them when they got drafted. I understand you're going to sit there and say, well, look at where Tua got drafted. Let's just take the fact that Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl and has now not only been to an NFC championship game, but a Super Bowl, which Tua has not, despite of where they're landed. We're talking about the quarterback comparisons here. Maybe you could even say Tua has more at his disposal in terms of offensive weapons. But Jalen Hurts, not only the better quarterback, he won the rematch, and now you can see the debate is over. It is Jalen over Tua. And again, that is no slight to these guys. I like them both. But I've always thought Jalen was the better quarterback, even after Tua took his job. And Jalen went to Oklahoma and came second in Heisman voting. All right, I'm off my Jalen Hurts stand status. Jalen Hurts made plays all game, though, scrambling outside the pocket to the touchdown for A.J. Brown was absolutely vintage Jalen Hurts in this game. And a couple of plays before that, scrambled out of a muddy pocket for the first down. We see Jalen Hurts get strip stacked in this football game, and to know his numbers on the drive right after that when he gets the ball back in his hands, 5 for 6 with that touchdown to A.J. Brown, like I just mentioned, scrambled for the first down, and he had 148 passer rating. Philadelphia was 4 for 4 on fourth down in this game. The tush push, the brotherly shove, the QB sneak, whatever you want to call it. People continue to talk about this play, and I really don't know why, because it's legal. Anyone in the league can do it. You're just pissed that the Eagles do it to a very high rate, at a very high rate, and they damn near do it perfectly. They got a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts. They got an amazing offensive line that, sports Lane Johnson. And if everyone can do it and people are starting to copy them, defend it. Because what does it say about you as a team or a defense if you know it's coming, if you know it's legal, and you can't defend it? That means it's just a good play. That'd be like people being out here saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be able to have more than 250-yard completions in an NFL game." Put your safeties on the back end, bracket them. It's legal. Learn how to play the game and adjust so you don't fall susceptible to really a simple play. Again, you know it's coming. You just have to defend it. So I'm here for the kind of pissed me off. It needs to catch up to it. But the Eagles flashed all their stars in this game. I mean, no doubt. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, even Eli Ricks, Dallas Goedert getting more usage, Josh Sweat, and just holding that Dolphins team to virtually nothing after throwing that pick six. All we can think about is the Tyreek Hill bomb. Yes, Tyreek Hill did have a dropped touchdown in this game, which is very uncustomary of him. But the numbers fell the way they did, and the Eagles not even escaped. The Eagles took this victory comfortably home. And A.J. Brown in his last 5 games, Tyreek is still the best receiver in the league just by a small margin to me, simply because his speed, he does get in the end zone more. And I feel like you can use Tyreek in almost any situation. Not really that you can't A.J. Brown either, though. A.J. Brown is for sure second in line to him. We see how big and strong he can be. He's a great route runner. He kind of reminds me of when DK was catching a lot of steam in a good way a couple seasons back. Clearly, AJ's a better receiver, but just that prowess, the build, the way he's scoring touchdowns, the speed, the way he's just outmatching guys. Absolute insanity what A.J. Brown is up to right now. 10 catches for 137 yards, one touchdown in this game. A.J. Brown in his last five, 10 for 137 and a tub, 7 for 131, no tubs, 6 for 127 and no tub, 9 for 175 and two touchdowns, 9 catches for 131 yards, no touchdowns. That is A.J. Brown in the last 5 games. And as long as they continue to do that, there will be no issue. We see them. I love that the media speculates about what they're getting into on the sideline immediately going off. Damn near 700 yards in his last 5 games. I mean, let's be real about A.J. Brown being the second best, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. Dallas Goedert, another big game, 5 for 77 and a touchdown, his second big game in 3 weeks, thankfully. Philadelphia was 4 for 5 in the red zone, though. And that is something, again, that Miami, as a defense, they have to get that under their they have to get that under their belt. I'll give a little slack to Miami as we get through the game here, but you see Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a team that is going to come out and smack you in the mouth. They play very fundamental football, and I've been saying it all year. They win in the trenches. They push you around. They make you tired. They started with a 12-play, 71-yard, almost 8 minutes off the clock, unfortunately, just to get a field goal. Then they end the game after Tua's interception. They go on a 13-play, 85-yard, and another 7.5 minutes to end the game with a rushing touchdown. How does that not wear you down as a team? And clearly, we saw it happen with the Dolphins. And that's just what the Eagles are good at. They're going to outman you. They're going to out physical you. They're going to push you around. They're going to go for long drives. They're going to chew up chunk plays, or they can methodically just take it down the field 6, 7, 9 yards on you. And then before you know it, you're on the field for 6 to 8 minutes, and your defense is gassed. And then if your offense is going to 3 and out, your defense is right back out on that field again. Defenses get tired in this league, and that's what Philadelphia is very good at.